Our hairs are dead and we're about to get red. This is Show Some Love Live. Let's get into it. Perfect.
I'm glad you did the let's get into it for that take because something just didn't feel right without it.
I know, it's sort of a completely unnecessary part of all of it.
Yeah.
Sometimes when I watch back, I'm like, it's the one bit that we really struggle with is trying to work out what that little segment is. We need writers. You know, we need a team.
This can be our writing room.
Yeah.
Yes, but we could use one of the beautiful rooms in Greenhouse that are available for writing and all sorts of creative activities. To write, we need a team. Actually, in fact, if you have some funny lines, if you have some stuff that you want us to say out loud, that you just want us to shout. Now, we're not going to promote your pottery or something.
Unless you want to pay us.
Well, yeah, we'll do that. But if you can think of something that's not represented in opening lines in local queer podcasting, then reach out to us and we'll do it. We'll say it. Some fun stuff like up a Mona bypass, you know, that kind of vibe. You know the vibe
What about,
already.
at sus now?
I don't know. It sort of turns me that.
Oh, that's why I said it because it completely turns me.
Do you remember there was a cafe in Listburn?
Wasn't it at one of those selfie places?
Oh, no. So two things. One was the cafe in Listburn. Also, we'll have to tell you the story of why I say Listburn. It's not even my fucking story. But it's cafe in Listburn. It was called At Us Now. It maybe still exists. Maybe they're doing very well. I don't think it does, and I don't think they were. But there was also that selfie place that was there was an At Us Now room.
Oh God, yeah.
It reminds me of those people that make,
Cringe.
and some of them are very, very sweet, but you know that make the touristy crap.
The mugs.
Did you actually? Sorry to pull a tangent on you, but did you see? It was shared. I don't know whether it was on Twitter, maybe that the people that run the Northern Ireland shop are lovely. We really, really like
when
them.
I say sweet people, I mean those people.
Yeah, they're really, really, really lovely. But they have, and it's like one of those things. It's like, how far along are we? They had petrol bomb candles.
Oh,
and it was like a sort of like a milk jug with like half filled with candle, and it just said petrol bomb on it, and it was displayed with like a rag in it, do you know? And like there was quite a lot of like an outpouring of disgust about it.
I like that for local use. You know, if you want to go
for like only real petrol bombing only.
Yeah. Yeah,
don't know how effective it would be with like a load of wax,
but
scented wax in it.
It does seem because it'll be like a £20 candle. You know, it'll be like a decidedly middle class candle.
Yeah,
you know, you sort of think, is that person that buys that candle from wherever they are in the world, or they maybe living locally? Is that person? Have they been through it? Have they had to experience that? Have they had to drive down their road to like tarmac that's molded and melted from the night before? You know, could they not get a bus because the routes have been cut? You know, there's loads of implications of that. But no, when it comes to those wee things, the wee sayings that are on things, there's some people that are very sweet. There's other people like Born and Bred that just take stuff and they shove it on and they do the thing. And I'd have to say the sort of At It's Now, the melters, all of the bits, it's
the one that gets me is like, you know, at the airport.
Yes.
You know, whoever's in charge of marketing up there, it's like you're coming down like the wee ramp and it's like, we're sucking diesel.
You're
like,
it turns
something about arriving into the international airport just absolutely turns the ball.
Don't you love bread and crisps and all?
Yeah.
Oh my God. It's that, you know, it's actually less the marketing and less that ramp, which the kind of, you know, it's covered in all that crap, but at least it's covered in something. It's the wee bit it's the really depressing bit before where you have to walk through kind of like the 70s, or maybe the 80s, where then you have to stand in the queue and speak to some very unimpressed.
In fairness, it is like, you know, you're physically going through a time warp, which is quite fitting for this country because you are. Do you know, like it's like all of our decision making feels like it's kind of stuck in the past because a lot of the people are as well. Now, not everybody, like not all people from this country are bigoted or like old-fashioned or scared, or there's a lot of people that are.
There's a
huge swathe of people that aren't. Do you know what I mean?
Well, there's a trend towards it, I would say.
Yeah.
You know, we're sort of, I think just humans can, if we're not careful, can maybe Maybe it's because we're distracted. Maybe it's because we're too busy. Maybe it's because we've got kids. Maybe it's because we don't have the money to survive. We don't have our basic needs met, but we can sort of sometimes be a little bit kind of lazy with that kind of stuff. I think there's a growing wave of people that are saying, this isn't
not
good enough. I don't believe the hype anymore. I don't believe in the dream that I've been sold. I don't think it's possible. Like the amount of, I think for maybe our parents, it was different because you really could get on the housing ladder and you really could get a job that you could keep and you really could insert all of those sort of other bits. But now I think more and more people are just like, well, especially I think millennials. Are you a millennial?
No.
Or are you not?
No, I don't fall into the millennial. Some people, I'm like. Some people, it depends on way they cut it up.
Are you a boomer?
But no, like my parents are boomers. Like I'm Gen X. So I'm like too old to be a millennial. You're a millennial.
I'm a millennial.
Yeah.
But the Gen Zs now are like, well, the planet's gonna burn, it's gonna die, we're all done.
Yeah.
I'm out. Yeah. I actually either I'm out and they sign out and they'll just do whatever they want, or they're actively really in the space of trying to make change happen.
Yeah.
Which is sort of our sweet spot. You
yeah.
know, we need to attract more of those people and create spaces and events and bits which bring those people together. But yes, that's us now. Why do we even get talking about that?
I don't know. It's although it's monoculture is what they call that, isn't it? All that like real like clickbaity, you know, just slogans and stuff. The people down south complain about it more than up here, like because I think it really gets the whole ripped out of it. Like,
so it's like a top of the morning to you.
Yeah.
Oh, I've never thought of it being that.
Yeah.
It's like all the Guinness stuff and the
and
potato and.
But I suppose like the South has a bit more of a maturity whenever it comes to actually like courting tourism and receiving tourism.
Yeah.
You know, we're kind of like newbies with it. So there's kind of like this typical thing that happens where it's kind of just like stepped into in a very kind of clumsy way, you know, and it's just like, it's like so many things. It's like, oh, that worked. Let's do everything like that, you know? But I think that also speaks to, and we've talked about this before in season 1, but we've talked about it before, that actually the standard of communication here that is often led by like marketing agencies, and there's very few of them that don't fall into this same damning indictment. And that is that actually the standard of work here is pretty poor. Do you know what I mean? It's like there's really great agencies that do really good stuff and that are really progressive, that are really exciting, that are doing like stuff that actually does bring attention. But unfortunately, none of them exist here.
I was going to say, who are those agencies?
Not here.
Maybe an agency like Smarts, but then they work over the water and they work globally.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, maybe another couple like that, but they're not doing the kind of the local work.
Yeah, and it's also like, that's not to say that there's not incredibly talented people doing good stuff within those agencies, but generally it's also down to the standard of how people interact with them. People don't know the value of things, so our agency landscape is horrendously expensive and the quality is just generally very poor. Like the communication is boring, generally, very risk averse, very old-fashioned, traditional, and kind of just like embarrassing a lot of the time.
I'm in the space, if you're a private business and you want to push your money up the wall doing whatever, we've talked about this actually, even the U105 ads and stuff. But in fact, actually update on that, Seán, the kid that impressed us for UHire, she's out.
Yeah.
We no longer like her.
The example.
They've ruined the ads. She's tried to be too cute. I think she's got a little bit of local fame. Maybe they're in. I think they actually are in Newtonards. I think she's got Newtonards famous, this wee girl, and she's just got carried away with herself.
Yeah. But actually what's happened is they've realised they've had a little bit of success with the kids singing thing, and they've gone, oh, that works. Let's do loads more of it, and it's killed it. Do you know?
We were sitting cooking breakfast the other morning, and we listened to U105 because we are
big Frank fans.
We're big Frank fans,
and Johnny and Carolyn.
There's something about the localness. I think there's something about being away, living away for years, and then coming back. You can either treat that with like a kind of an approach, or you can interact with it in a way that's really beautiful. I love people that phone into Frank. Most of them phone into Frank. The wee kind of like someone from somewhere in the country that's complaining about whatever, you know. I live for it. In fact, there was a man on the other day that said to Frank, they were talking about interest and stuff, and we're going to have Frank Mitchell on this show because he has promises and he doesn't. He's going to embarrass us. But there was a man on the other day, and he said to Frank, and I can't wait to ask him the question. He said to Frank, he said they were talking about things you're not allowed to say anymore, which is sort of classic sort of Murdoch media stuff.
Yeah.
And the man said, while we're here and we're talking about things you're not allowed to say, he says, Frank, what's a MILF? And I nearly fucking died.
Actually, Connor exclaimed so loudly that I thought something had wrong. I thought they'd fallen downstairs. I was like, what's happened? What's happened? Has something happened to the dog? And it was just that they were laughing so hard. And then, like, I can't remember. We put it on up the stairs. And then the next thing we heard somebody saying, like, you're not allowed to say dickhead. And Frank was like, oh, no, you can't say dickhead on the radio.
Oh, you can say dickhead, you're not allowed.
But they both said it,
Funny.
including Frank.
Funny. Years ago, you weren't allowed to say Jesus on... Oh, no, maybe Jesus Christ. You weren't allowed to use the Lord's name or God's name in vain. Or is that in vain?
Yeah.
On the BBC, you weren't allowed to say Jesus, but there was a whole other load of things like arse and stuff that you were allowed to say. In Australia, you were allowed to really swear quite a lot.
Yeah, like shit's not even really a swear word in Australia.
No, you're not allowed to say cunt, but like right up to that. Yeah, they say it on the fucking news.
Yeah.
Because there's that radio station, isn't it Triple J or something like that?
Yes.
It's the Australian one.
Yeah, they do the big countdown for New Year's.
Yeah, and I always listen to them though because they have like bands on doing like the bands doing covers of other bands.
Yes.
And when they're introducing them, like you get the occasional fuck or shit,
Yeah.
And you're like,
What
is this not live radio?
Uh-huh. Some wee holy granny sitting in her car down the East Coast and is listening to just profanity.
You wouldn't get any of that
I don't know how we got so waylaid there, but I'm Connor.
And I'm Becky.
And together we are Show Some Love. We're a charity, and this is our podcast. Hello, Seán.
Hiya.
Hello.
So for anyone that's wondering, that's been listening so far, that was a wee bit of extra, wasn't it? It was a wee like Patreon extra, but we haven't set up our Patreon yet.
Yeah.
So you can have it for free.
A flavour of what the Patreon will be like.
Oh, it's going to be great. It's going to be fabulous whenever we get there. Just to say that out loud, we will get round to doing that. We will have a Patreon. We're going to put lots of extra bits on it for lots of our events and things that are coming up. But it's also to say that if you're listening to this and you love it, or you really love our work, or you're really inspired by some of the things we're talking about, maybe not what we've just talked about, but if you are inspired by that, or if you agree and you want to support us, you can go on to social media and you can like and share and you can do all the bits. You can go on to the podcast itself. You can like, you can ring the bell, you can watch, you can I don't know, play it in your work or something. Maybe don't play it in your work.
No, not safe for work.
And if you've got some money spare, we would love you to spend it with us. You could buy some of our merch, or you could give it to us on one of our online fundraisers, which now we're able to get gift aid for because we are a charity. We've got a number and all the rest of it. But yes, something's happening this morning. There's something in the water. How are you?
I'm fine. I'm well rested.
Good. You had a proper sleep last night.
Yeah. Nicole's mum helped us out last night, so it was such a relief.
Well, we would offer to mind your baby, but we're not going to do that.
And you probably wouldn't want us to be fair.
Might be once to get
old
enough.
I'm only joking. We're actually very responsible and actually quite good at that sort of thing. To be honest, we don't do it very often, which I suppose it means why we've got patience for it.
Yeah, I think we are. I tell myself that I'm not very good.
Oh, but you're really good with kids.
I think it's maybe a response, though. I think there's something in queerness and gays, especially of a certain age. I sort of mean like gays, maybe over 30 at this point, that just never had the opportunity or was never open to them to have children. It was never expected. It was never part of the conversation to get married, to have children, to kind of be successful. The only thing that I was sort of ever fed to me was that you have to avoid dying of AIDS and that men are being a drag queen and that men are just generally terrible, so you have to watch out for the whole sexual violence side of things. All of that is actually very true.
Not about being a drag queen.
Not about being a drag queen or actually or about AIDS or HIV or anything like that. We've talked about that previously on the podcast. But I think I think because of that, I'd always sort of told myself that it's easier just to say I don't like children, or I don't really I'm not very good with children, and actually I think I'm really good. Do you know my sort of sweet spot is like the kids that kind of shouldn't be running about the streets around here. Love them. Like, and a lot of people are just like, get out of my shop, like, go away, here are you, like, you're a child. And I think if you do that, you're into like really spicy territory. You're like into getting your windows done
on your building if you're lucky.
You're going to get egged. What an honor. Not the building, but us. But no, I think I'm actually reasonably good.
Yeah.
You know, I think we would actually. I think a lot of people who like you've chosen to have a baby and your baby's healthy and you're happy and you're
and we live
just that relationship, you know. But I think a lot of people who maybe don't choose to do that and just sort of run into parenthood, maybe not the best suited to having children. Loads that you see out and about. But I think a lot of people who actually choose not to and choose that for their lives, sometimes would be really the best parents. You know, people that can sort of really actively
somebody
step
said
into
that recently. Like I put up a post because I do try to post about that a lot, not a lot, but whenever it sort of comes to mind, that like there is actually a powerful decision being made there. And somebody commented on Facebook that said exactly that. Like it was somebody, I can't remember who it was that said it, but they said, actually, there's a lot of my friends who are deciding not to go down the kid route. And ironically, a lot of the ones who have decided to do that are probably some of the ones that would be best at it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? But I suppose it's also just the privilege that comes with like whenever you have the sight or whenever you have known that that's an option, because some people choose it and it's beautiful for them and all the rest of it, as we said. But some people don't necessarily choose it. They see it as a default. And that's the point where I have a bit of a challenge to
it. It just happens.
Yeah.
You know?
Or people just sort of expect that it's like somehow it's like a mark of success or not, do you know? And then what comes alongside that is, you know, like a judgment against not doing it, you know? But that's one of the things that I would also love to do as part of this space, you know, is to have like a bit of like a child-free club or something like that as well. Because not even just to be able to sit and talk about how positive or negative it is, but also just to kind of like meet other people who have that different kind of lifestyle as well, you know, because it is a different lifestyle, you know.
It's I watched a TikTok the other day and it was someone that got up and they went to their very expensive, they were in a really nice apartment and they went to a very expensive coffee machine and they had a coffee and they opened up their doors and they walked out and got into a hot tub with this very hot man and they sat and they were drinking their coffee and they were just having the best time ever, and it just ended with like this is our dual income, zero child life or whatever, and there were like these two people in their 40s
just being smug,
just like being smug cunts. Talking of children, there was loads of them and they were very, very cute last night. So last night we went to the arrival of Little Amal. The story of Little Amal is that she is a 12-foot puppet, this massive puppet that's controlled by a person inside and multiple people doing her eyes and her arms and all the other bits. Little Amal herself is a Syrian child that had to flee because of war in Syria, and she's searching. The story is that she's searching the world for her parents. So it's a fundraiser for Help Refugees, or for Choose Love as they're called now. And she's been traveling all over the world for years. I think for like 6 or 7 years or something like that. I feel last night her arriving, I felt kind of like so she arrived on a boat down the Lagan. And really, it's sort of at first sight of her, because it's been a build-up, it's happening, you know, it's part of Belfast 24, Belfast City Council have brought her here. There's a big excitement, there's billboards bloody everywhere. You couldn't miss it. And I kind of just didn't give it so much thought, because we're in work and we're doing the thing and you just go to the event and then you work it out. But seeing her, I felt like we were seeing some sort of celebrity.
Yeah,
it was
100%.
that kind of feeling, like she's a puppet.
Yeah.
She is made of God knows what. Like, she is a puppet, but there's something so melancholy about her and just so real and human. And
there's like a real dignity attached to it. Like, I was really deeply moved. Like, God, Rachel, our friend and our volunteer and board member, was there. And Rachel works with unaccompanied minors. And Rachel was just like in floods watching. And actually, I got really quite emotional too. Like, and even like the coming in the procession and seeing the wee kids that were all in their costumes with their like.
Were they like wee jellyfish?
Yeah, I think so.
By the time this goes out, we'll have a story of it on, or a reel of it on our Instagram and TikTok and things. And
there was like real excitement, and the sort of the street play that they'd put on with dancers and performers and things like that. It was like The Wolf and the Seahorse, or The Seahorse and the Wolf. It was really beautifully done. Like, it was a really, like, they did manage to bring Belfast into it in a really nice way. And like, it can be easy to be skeptical or to sort of get sort of worn down sometimes, especially whenever often there's I don't know, there can be frustrations about the standard of the way things work here often. And, just like we were just talking about marketing and things like that it's generally the standard is terrible. Yeah. But actually, like, it was really, really beautifully done yesterday. And, all credit to the people that wrote it and engineered it. And we're going to go and see The Big Dream tonight as well, which will be really special. And our friend Katie Richardson is involved in that. And Jazz and Lennon and the Nelson family and all the rest of it.
Everyone was there last night. It was really a thing. I say everyone was there. It actually wasn't very full.
Yeah, that was one of the only things that really got to me was that, like, it was about 3/4 full. Like, I don't know why. Somebody said there was thousands of people there to watch her arriving on the boat. There wasn't. It was hundreds of people. But there should have been thousands of people there.
The sad thing is, so she came up the Lagan and they were on the, is it called the Millennium Bridge? Or is that not, it's not called the Millennium Bridge.
The one beside the Big Fish?
Yeah.
That's the one.
The Peace Bridge? Is that in Derry?
Peace Bridge is
in Derry. The Millennium one is not, that might be Derry.
Well, whatever the bridge is.
The new one.
I think it's
the new one that's now 30 years old.
Yeah.
The newest one. It's the Lagan Weir.
Yeah.
That's what it's called.
The one that has Timu lights up the side of it now.
Yes. Yeah. That's
the one the lights that got rid of the starlings, which is one of the best spectacles that we have.
So the starlings weren't that bridge. Sorry, we're getting lost in bridges. This is not a story of bridges. That's not the first time
that's happened that you've got lost in bridges.
ADHD life. I actually love bridges. I think they're so interesting. I love to watch a program where they build them, like where they came from. I love, like, sometimes I'm in a modern mood. Maybe it's a Millennium Bridge moment. Sometimes I'm like full Brunel. Let's traverse this massive swathe and get an honour from Queen Victoria. Anyways, so...
Can I just get a wee joke out of me before we go any further?
Please.
Go ahead.
That Little Amal literally came up the Lagan in a bubble. So then marketing agencies would have been loving that.
Yeah.
Well, I think I'm sure that the marketing agencies and the other people involved made a few bob. Yeah. A lot of money's been spent, and that's actually when we're saying that it wasn't so full. That's why we were making that comment, because there's, like, billboards across this town,
buses,
some of the most expensive advertising space in our country, radio ads, press. There was full coverage, and they've really thrown everything at it when it comes to Belfast 24, and remembering that we are part of that, and sometimes struggle in that space to sort of to get use of that loud healer, and the sort of Belfast City Council's one, but for all of that was put in, all of the people, actually, when we were talking about the bridge, there were so many people that were on the bridge itself that were here for the welcome, and the welcome her coming up. It was gorgeous.
Yeah,
like her coming up and the sun not going down, but just, do you know when the sun just sort of dies a wee bit? It was sort of like a wee bit of a cloudy sky. It was like the perfect lighting. But her coming up, they had like smoke bombs, not bombs probably, but smoke flares on the boat, so it was sort of like filling the air. But all the people on the bridge were standing there, I think, because they were directed to stand there if you didn't have tickets for the main event. And are you okay? Yeah. But if they didn't have tickets for the main event, and the sad thing is, so many of those people would have, because it was ticketed and they didn't have one, then if went home, they would have just left because they wouldn't have got in.
Yeah. It was. Like, not to take away from the event itself, because there was a lot of work put in, and it was like it was really, really well done. But like, part of me was just like really, really just disappointed that there just weren't more like community groups invited, or like other organizations that are doing shitloads of work in this area, that they weren't like actively invited, or if they did, they maybe didn't have the means to get there, which is, back to the sort of the funding question and cost of living. And I know that it's much harder to get people to go to stuff now, because people are struggling, like transport costs and childcare costs and all the rest of it. But it's like, I just think that there's something missing in terms of, like, if all of this money is being spent and all of this amazing effort is being put in, it's like,
beautiful.
Where are the people, that actually probably could benefit the most from seeing it? It's like the fact that, well, to use a comparative example, it's the fact that the Mela has like a pay barrier. to get into it. Do you know what I mean? And it's kind of very strict in that respect.
And that's a seriously funded event.
But this is the thing. It's like, if something is so well funded, why is it not free and massively oversubscribed? You have this huge space in Custom House Square, huge space, barriered off. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Like, it could have been twice the size, and it wouldn't have cost any more money to do that, because maybe it would have with a few extra security guards, but that's it. You know, there was no hospitality there. There was really nothing. You know, it was just a big empty square. Why not just keep that open and let people just come?
I suppose we don't do outside events, so we don't know maybe the complexity of it. But surely, like, God, it really, like, it was so stunning. I wish the whole city could have seen it, especially in the current environment that we're in. Yeah. The fact that all the ban the boats bits, propaganda from the Tories, all of the stuff about Rwanda, all of that, the fact that we are actively targeting refugees and asylum seekers right now, and the fact that in very recent news, our country has fought that battle and won in terms of the Rwanda flights and all the rest of it. The fact that straight away afterwards in the radio the next morning we talk about how we love U105, but they do have some bloody nutters on sometimes, and they had Jim Allister on and other associated nutters, and they were talking straight away the morning after about how there would be an invasion of people and how we're going to be a magnet now for refugees and asylum seekers. I think one of the most important things last night was to have it full, like full of people. Even when I was making content, I was specifically trying to film as much of the sort of full crowd space as possible to send the message. This city supports refugees and asylum seekers. This city is a sanctuary. Yeah. That our people care, and that you're welcome here. The one thing that then doesn't really add up for me is the fact that then you walk this puppet of a Syrian child searching for her family, this refugee puppet that's walking across the road and then has to cross multiple barriers, multiple fences,
and only people are allowed in with a ticket
to get into this event, with mostly artisty sort of people in the know,
people that support things, because you know, like. But it should have been just open. Yeah. You know,
hopefully there's a whole week long of there's a whole week load of events, and we're very excited because there's lots more to see, and there's lots more to do. There's lots more things that are much more open. Yeah. So if anyone has been following over the last while, you've probably seen that we've been working on the Little Amal project. We've been a very small part, as we've been saying, of helping to bring Little Amal and bring some of those community groups together. Tomorrow night we're going to be in St. Anne's for, what's it called? A dream or
Big Dream?
The Big Dream. Sorry, Becky does my names for things. But we're going to be in St. Anne's for that, and it's basically a performance and a whole host of other activities, and they're going to be putting Little Amal to sleep. So we have in multiple activities throughout the city, with lots of groups and in lots of spaces like 2 Royal Avenue, and actually in this space as well, created a community-made, or helped to create a community-made blanket from some of the clothes that we use here, either in free store or that we sell. That we have no longer a use for, or maybe are a bit damaged that nobody wants anymore, that we have taken pieces off and reused them, and we've asked the community to design their own panels. It's much like our Sow Some Love project, so we've been following for a long time. You'll see we've been attempting to make the world's largest recycled rainbow flag, and we are...
Now we can do that again, now that we have this space.
Now we can do that again. It was very, very similar to that. But so basically we've given those patches over to what you call those
Top
lovely
floor
women.
Art.
Oh, they're so sweet up in St. Field. And they've made a beautiful so they've put together the quilt, and then I think in the centre, in the theme of the city, which is part of our emblem, isn't it? The seahorse. They've put a gorgeous seahorse on it. So we're very excited to see how it turns out and how that event looks as well, especially in St. Anne's, because it's a stunning space.
Yes, we sent off over 120 patches, all individually done, and we got to see like a picture of them placed into place. But that's the last we've seen of it. So next, it's going to be this huge, huge quilt that'll have been made. And I think that they're also making a pillow and other bits and pieces as well to go alongside. So can't wait to see that.
Slightly different setup this week.
Yes.
Talk me through some of your items on the table this week.
Oh, are we recording again? Okay, perfect. We'll have to do that transition again.
Yeah, we love the Friends one.
So as part of our, we'll have to do that transition. I actually meant to get some more shots of like outside. Maybe we'll actually make it. No, I love the mid-90s New York.
Yeah.
And lots of the edits in not last week. Well, it was last week's episode, but it was our special. It was season 1.5.
Yeah.
So we'll have sort of found our way here. We'll find a little bit of a setup that we are. I'm just never entirely happy, but a setup that we're reasonably happy with. But there's lots of wee bits here that mean a lot to us. Of course, I don't know how much of this you can see, Seán, but of course our lovely foliage that we've had in the set for forever. It's where we hide stuff, including our bodies, but it's in a lovely disco ball planter. Oh, this feels like an MSNR. What's it called? ASMR special.
You're a gag. Like we literally, like Seán was putting us back onto our list again, and like Connor's way off on another tangent. Welcome to ASMR/ADHD.
Yeah. Look at that. Look at that. Do you know who inspired me watching them this week? Is Katja.
Oh.
You know, from Trixie and Katja?
Yeah.
Just going wild. Like, going wild.
Well, I'm going to give you the full Trixie and, like, try and keep us onto our plan.
Seán was asking us about all the bits on our table and our setup and all the rest of it.
This is an intriguing collection of trinkets here.
We've got mushrooms, we've got glitter balls, we've got plants, and we also have these lovely rabbits. Now, can you see this in the shot?
Yeah.
Okay. I would just like to...
do like a trick?
Yeah, well, I would like to let the world know this. Seán's a hateful bastard.
He bit that off, like, right before.
I love it, actually.
An act of violence.
Maybe it's... well, he did. He smashed it in the bum. He smashed the bloody bum hole off it as well. Look at that. Typical Seán.
Wouldn't be mean.
That is rotten. What we're going to do is stick it back together. In fairness, loads of our wee bits. Some of them are very fancy, and some of them are our memories.
Yeah.
But other bits are just found on some sale reel somewhere. But yes, hopefully you like it. If you do, comment and let us know. And if you want to see any other bits, or you see any things that we can add, then we'll be doing that over the next while. What you're like pointing to our list, Becky?
Yeah. We actually have a plan today. Not that it would maybe seem like it, but we do actually have a plan of stuff that we want to talk about.
Broadcast professionals.
Yeah, exactly. But the first thing that I want to talk about from our list, well, actually, no, Little Amal was the first thing on our list, so we have actually done that. Yeah. But was our Sunday service. Oh my God. Like, from an idea that we didn't have the idea, like it was told to us, it was described to us maybe about 3 years ago, I would say, by Jordan. Jordan told us all about, I think we'd maybe like loosely talked about the idea of doing something like, wouldn't it be great if something existed a bit like a church, but just not in the traditional kind of religious format.
Yeah.
And Jordan told us about Sunday Assembly. And we went and did a wee bit of research and watched a few videos and looked at all of their format. And we thought, that's actually right up our street. That's basically what we're thinking about doing. So we had a call with the Sunday Assembly team. Like, again, was it during COVID, possibly?
They were really nice.
They were really nice, really fun, like really, and also just like in something that feels very uncharacteristic for this country, because they weren't in this country, they were in London, but they were very open. They were very much like, whatever, we're here to share, we're not very precious about like our brand or about the format. Basically, we just want to do this good thing and for other people to be able to do it in their own places too. So it wasn't like, oh, well, you can't use this and this is our creative territory and this, you know what I mean? It was the opposite of that. Yeah. They were very much like, this is the format. Here's loads of advice. Anything we can do to help. Knock yourself out changing the name or doing whatever, but like it's really fun, you'll really enjoy it, and best of luck. Anything we can do to help. They added us to forums and all the rest of it, just kind of the way it should be.
Yeah,
particularly within arts. And now people's creative integrity should be protected. I'm not saying that, like an intellectual property, that is very, very important that people don't get ripped off. However, whenever you're doing something that's actually charity or community or whatever based, that is actually about changing the world, those types of principles should be shared and they should be open sourced.
If you share that mission, then that's sort of the main idea, is bringing people together.
Exactly. So we did it last Sunday and we had a full atrium and it was hosted by Gemma Hutton and she was amazing. So like turned up in diamanted rhinestoned dog collar and
I have a suspicion that Gemma's a lesbian.
I think she might.
There's something. I think she maybe knows gays. She knows some sort of gays out there. Because who else rhinestones?
I know.
You know, it is the Fritz.
Okay.
She was wonderful. She entered from the top onto the balcony.
Yeah, she gave a full we had her coming on to Sam Smith and Kim Petras on Holy. And we sort of we played around the subject and things, and she came out with the tinted glasses on and really played up to it and gave it a real presence. It was so fun. And then so entered on the mezzanine and then came down the stairs while the music played, and then sort of entered kind of almost like wrestler style into the room.
She felt like a new age pastor.
Yeah.
You know, she felt like one of those mega church pastors. Yeah. Those ones that are like, hey bro, Jesus bless you.
Doing the high fives on the way in type thing.
Yes.
And no, it was magic. It was really good. We had we sang Belinda Carlisle, Heaven is a Place on Earth, George Michael, Faith, and then of course Madonna, Like a Prayer, which was our theme for that week.
Which is a very, very long song.
Yeah, very long and not the most conducive to crowd singing.
No.
But the irony of it was that Like a Prayer was one of the ones that we just decided it was happening.
Yeah.
But then we actually listened through to Faith and to Belinda Carlisle, and they were sort of more chosen by Katie Richardson, and they worked very, very well.
Yeah.
But
Katie being an expert, choir
that's her job, and
master.
she's brilliant. Yes, and so we'll hopefully we've got some thoughts about bringing choirs and turning in the crowd into a choir and all different things like that. So hopefully we're going to get a wee bit of help for the next one as well. But we had Mickey Murray who came along and gave our address. And Mickey was talking about the fact that they're about to be Lord Mayor of Belfast for the year ahead, and the first gay Lord Mayor, or openly gay. Actually, that was the thing that I said on the special that I just want to go back to a wee bit very, very quickly, because I'm aware that we've been talking for ages. But the question about the word openly, because I'd said in the last episode I would go back to it. And the reason why I said the question is because the reason that the word openly is said is because we don't know, because of the way that the world was. We don't know whether somebody has been.
Yeah.
So that qualification is made for that reason. However, I would love it if we could very quickly get to a place where we can just say gay. And because the word openly does bring with it a reminder of the shame. Do you know what I mean?
Do you think it's a bit sort of snipey? A bit sort of a bit too direct? Does it feel like it's something that's, for me, it feels a bit straight?
It gives me the energy of by just saying the word openly, it's like, should you be open? You know, and it also comes with the, you're a bit much. That kind of energy of if only they wouldn't put it in our faces. That kind of energy is what I get from it as well. But at the same time, it is what it is. And, you know, if whatever way Mickey wants to say it, I am that's the way we will say it and be comfortable with that and all the rest of it. But at the same time, I bloody wish that we didn't have to use the word.
The other way of looking at it is by stating openly, it's maybe acknowledging that there may have been queer mayors in the past.
Yeah.
You know, that
so totally. It's not sort of whitewashing the past. It's actually saying, these are the facts.
Yeah.
It's sort of saying we could have had gay mayors in the past, but because of structures that were in place, that they weren't allowed to be who they are.
Yeah,
so,
totally.
So it's not putting those people down who, if they do exist, you know.
Yeah, 100%.
I'm sure they do.
I think, and I do think that is why, you know, but at the same time, it does just sort of, it's a qualifier. You know, I wish it could just be as it is. Yeah. But as I said, I wouldn't reflect on that too long. But Mickey was talking about being Lord Mayor and the historic nature of that. Mm-hmm. And also talking about their work on conversion therapy, which again is really timely for right now. You know, they did an incredible amount of work that was really kind of organic based on their own experiences as well. And so there's a bit more of a conversation and resurgence on that recently, which is really important. But they also told our crowd, we knew, but they made the announcement that we are going to be one of Mickey's charities of the year. One of their partner charities.
We're going to be sipping tea in the parlour. Do you want to come?
Of course.
You're not on the list. Just touch the bloody mic. But no, we're going to be sipping tea in the parlour. I'm going to get one of those they've got the wee cups in City Hall.
Yeah. And in fact, we're going to be going to like a meeting to kind of talk about the sectoral stuff as well. So we might actually be serving some tea as well.
Can you get your own like mayor bling? But like it's no like really cheap like
competitive. So. Just turn up with like a big plastic necklace on, like a big like.
That we follow Mickey Murray around and pretend that we are the gay mayor.
Yeah. Just like put like a really shit fake chain and just like put a badge on it that says mayor, only like spelt wrong and stuff.
Like
Mur.
M-U-R.
He's
the mayor. I'm the mayor. I think that'd be great. Actually, I think you would really enjoy that. In fairness, whereas last season was sponsored by Bruna Diamond, and we were contractually obliged to talk about the woman.
Sponsored by Mickey
Murray.
Not financially,
but no. So at Sunday service, Mickey was able to get up and speak about gay conversion therapy and also his journey in that, and we've experienced it a little bit. Or a lot within the third sector, where you sort of come with a swell of support or for something or a cause or whatever it is, and you're very quickly told by whoever it is in the sector, be that the LGBT or other one, that it's not really on their agenda, that it's not really the thing, that it's not the right way, because sometimes it doesn't meet their funding needs, maybe it doesn't meet their agenda, never mind the community's agenda. And you talked about sort of how it was really a struggle when it came to gay conversion therapy or to the ban on conversion therapy to really get the energy going.
See, for me, I'm intrigued by it, because like I have little to no knowledge of like what that looks like here, like in terms of conversion therapy. It seems like something completely in the dark ages that wouldn't happen.
Yeah.
So like, what is the story with like,
in a sentence, it's basically praying the gay away. And it's also that like a lot of the church systems that we have here will on one hand say, oh, we're open to gay people. Yes, that's not a problem. You can come in, you can be part of the congregation. But while you're there, like one of the qualifiers for that is that you cannot practice being gay. So they expect that to come along with celibacy and like going to like different prayer groups and things like that will like try to ask God to kind of change you, to work with whoever the senior member is. I don't want to say like pastor or preacher or minister or whatever, like insert denominational head. But like the idea is that by asking God essentially for forgiveness, that they will make you straight again, and that you can basically pray the gay away, and that it's saying, not even implying, it's directly saying that there's something wrong with being queer in the first place.
Mental defect.
Back to it being a disorder.
And then like, so when has conversion therapy been banned?
Well, it hasn't.
So it hasn't.
So the Conservative government, it's still a campaign going on there.
Yeah. So the Conservative government, when they came in the last time, made a load of promises that they would ban it as part of it, as part of their agenda, or part of their their agenda manifesto, and they've timed out on that. They can't. They physically don't have the time to do it anymore.
But on top of that, they said that they would lend their support to the campaign, with the exception of church groups. Yeah. So it's just like, no, that's where the main problem exists. But it's also like they make the acknowledgement, like the campaign is making the acknowledgement that it's not just happening in churches, it's also in community spaces. And one of the things that you came to light with your own experiences, now it's going back to the 90s, was that it happened to you at school.
The naughties, actually.
Sorry, the naughties.
The naughties.
Of course,
I'm
yes.
very, very young.
Yeah, sorry, the naughties.
Comparatively to older people.
It was 2014.
Yeah.
Sure, yeah.
For you, it fucking was. You're a child. But yes, so gay conversion therapy is everywhere from electroshock therapy and death of queer people, like people have died, through to therapies, as they call them, or like counselling, where you can go and talk about that and maybe get a new perspective on your mental disorder, through to just that very what's that called? That very insidious kind of way that a lot of churches work, of just steering you always towards the sort of heteronormative ideal of having babies to bring more people into the church, and of having a wife and of just
getting married,
being bloody normal in their eyes, and in, as they say, in the eyes of the Bible. It's deeply dangerous, and the shame that it brings may not result in the direct loss of life for queer people in churches necessarily, or it may not do that all of the time, but you can be sure that
indirectly it does.
That same system and that same energy is responsible for queer people deciding to take their own lives, for queer people deciding to leave home, for queer
or
people
being put out of their home,
deciding to leave this country. You know, it's only very recently that I think so many of the gays around us that are in a space of, I can stay. And I can make it happen. You know, even just speaking at Queer as Folks the other night, where we went round and we were talking about the sort of incredible things, the sort of rather than the negatives, but the positives of being queer and all the rest of it. And one of the things was just that it's a real superpower. You know, you can really use it to your advantage. That's the opposite of that type of energy and that type of fear that comes from gay conversion therapy and everything that surrounds it. It should be banned. It's kind of incredible that it hasn't been banned. It seems so obvious, but I think the one thing that the churches have been frightened for years is this idea that they would not have the right to express themselves in the way that they need to. Maybe it's wrong. Maybe that's why. Or that they would be banned. You know, there's calls on the opposite side that they would be banned from praying or whatever else.
Listen, I think all of that is like fundamentally fucking horseshit. Like at the end of the day, people should be free to believe whatever they want to believe, to experience religion, to do. I big time support that. You know, for people to be able to articulate whatever way that they want to as an individual. However, whenever it comes down to equality, whenever it comes down to protected characteristics, whether it's because of your sexuality, your gender, your skin color, your whether you've got a disability or not, any of the protected characteristics, religion somehow gets lumped in with all of the other factors which you cannot do anything about. Religion is chosen.
Yeah.
Unquestionably, you choose it. Do you believe it? Do you not? Do you follow it? Do you practice it? All of those things. You choose it, right? You do not choose to be gay. You do not choose your skin color. You do not choose whether you have a disability or not, or your gender, or any of those things. So therefore, a hierarchy should and could easily be put into place that says religion and all of those things will be protected so long as they do not negatively impact any of the religion should be one of the other factors. Same way a business has to act in a way that is actively working towards equality, religion should be looked at. The problem that keeps occurring in society, and it's happening with the hate preachers in town at the minute, is that people will say, but the reason that we can't do them for homophobia is because it's their religious freedom. No. We need to get better at that stuff, do you know, because there is a very easily qualifying difference. Like, I understand it if they can't say, you know, it's okay to be homophobic if you also have a disability. It's like, well, we're you know what I mean? Like, what is the, there's like sort of an equality there with those things. But whenever it comes to religion, there is not. You choose it. So therefore, it should be easily managed in law. But yet, there's an appetite not to. Do you know? Because there's a fear.
It's a fear that people are frightened of the religious vote here and of
and the control
and of the control that's out there, or of the wee mammies that are a wee bit religious and go to church or whatever. I think that it should be legislated for in the same way that we legislate for speech here. So we do not have free speech here. It's sort of it's a thing that's sort of just been pushed around the world and is sort of sits online, but it is truly US based, and in the UK we do have freedom to express ourselves, but it's not at the expense of other people. And it should be religion and religious freedoms should be legislated for, I think, in the same way, where as long as you can demonstrate that you're doing no more harm than good, then you can carry on, you can do your thing. But we need to protect people within those structures because they're getting fucked. Women are getting fucked over. Queer people are getting fucked over. You know, there are people from other faiths and other backgrounds that just are actually having a really hard time. People like refugees and asylum seekers in this country who are time and time again coming up against religious nutters that are there apparently to provide them aid and give them support, but only if you pray with me. You know, and only if you come to a service. It's schools.
We've had many messages over the years, but very recently we had a message from somebody who was incensed to only recently find out that there was religious organisations allowed to come into schools and carry out their RSA. Do you know? And it's just, she was just like, I'm sorry, but like as a parent, you know, I have the right to be able to say no to that. Do you know? And I am totally there with her. Like, it's like in as much as they protect the right to experience a religion, they also need to protect the right not to. Do you know what I mean? Because it's like, but let's look at it in the same way as being queer. It's like, you know, just because somebody is queer, like, doesn't mean necessarily we shall be educated on that subject and all the rest of it. But that doesn't necessarily mean that I've kind of lost my thought on that, really, because I was talking about
you have to be integrated into it, or you should like.
Well, no, I think people need to be educated on the subject, but I just don't think that that should be something that there is like a choice on or not. You know, so whenever it's something that is as divisive as religion, people should be educated about it, but not by it. Do you know what I mean? And that's kind of the thing about the schools, where it's like
non-partisan.
Yeah, it's like, of course, people could choose to study RA, and I think it should be a choice. Like I've said this before in the podcast, like I deeply resent the fact that it was a compulsory subject that I was made to study at Methody, because for me personally, as a 43-year-old adult, I think exactly the same now as I did as a 14, 15-year-old choosing my subjects. I think it's bullshit and it's a waste of my time. I have never had any need to know anything about it other than what I learned from society and what I can read myself. I would have much rather studied a subject at school that might have actually been useful for my life or career.
And people will say like you went to like a religious school, or like, you know, but there's very little other options. There's very little non-secular schools here, and the ones that do exist aren't always accessible or don't always have availability for.
They're seriously oversubscribed. Because more parents than there are available spaces can see that a segregated school system. Just think about those words: a religiously segregated school system, which we abolished mostly globally in the 60s and 70s, still exists here.
Yeah.
The system that was set in place in order to divide us as communities, in order to further stoke the fears and the misunderstandings between, yes, Catholics and Protestants, but also between now our multicultural society. The systems that are put in place all those years ago in order to stoke that should be dismantled. We should really think twice.
See on the conversion therapy legislation. So then, would it be a fear as well that even though the Conservatives have done a U-turn with that, and even if that was to happen in Westminster, would it be like a case with like marriage equality and like abortion law that we would still have to wait on Northern Ireland and Stormont agreeing on that?
I think as much as possible, it would make sense even for the unionist
the hypocrisy is mad on that
persuasion of our country. It would make most sense that we were aligned. So if we've spent the last few years protesting about the protocol and the Windsor framework and all the bits, if we've got up in arms about that, about how we're not aligned with the UK, then surely we should be really trying our best to make sure that all of our laws are aligned. The problem is we are two distinctly separate systems.
Yeah,
and it's one thing that's never really that's never really came together. That's never really been accounted for in our country. So when it comes to gay conversion therapy, I would say if it was a UK wide mandated decision,
protested here.
They'd still protested here. They'd probably still go to our courts and overturn it, like which has just happened in the positive side of things for all the ban the boat stuff. Congratulations to Sinead actually at Phoenix Law.
Phoenix Law, yeah.
What's Sinead's second name?
Marmion.
Oh, she's a star. She's a wonderful woman, and she worked to overturn that decision. So we're all pissed for her. But I think even if it did come through, it would be a journey. It always bloody is here, you know.
There's just like, I'm sorry, but like the levels of hypocrisy are just like maddening. Like I don't know how people from like that community are not literally constantly incensed by the fact that there's this like insistence on the alignment and making sure that there's not any divide between what happens here and what happens in Great Britain. But yet that's not a consistent thing. It's like on one hand, people are up in arms about we should be the same, but only on the things that we want, only on the things that don't like personally affect our like religious sensibilities. Like the hypocrisy of that, I just find like regularly maddening whenever you see it on the news.
You know what we should start with is pay parity for nurses and for social workers and for funding our services and for all of each of those sectors that are on their knees. We could start with that. You know, if they stop fucking us with that, then maybe we'd be willing to listen. Yesterday I was wearing my Tory scum hat, which every time I wear it in the podcast gets quite the reaction in the comments. They're like, why don't you just show some love? Like, Tory scum, you're a hater. But I like, it's sort of, it's inarguable. They've done the worst job ever, because there's not a person in this country now that I think is pro-Tory. I don't think there's many people out there that think like
turkeys voting for Christmas. Though.
I think it's across community. It's like, for once in the history, in the 100-and-something year history,
agrees on,
we can all agree that actually they are deeply, deeply problematic. But yes, when it comes to Sunday service, just to close that off, Mickey Murray spoke about gay conversion therapy, also spoke about us being one of his charities. So we're going to be in the parlour and we'll be doing things. I think we are doing more than just going to go and drink tea with Mickey.
Yeah.
We're going to also hang some of our art in the parlour, which is quite the thing. I'm going to stop talking about the parlour now. Yeah. Maybe we'll get to ride in the back of his car. I bet you they would allow us. But we'll definitely get to wear his necklace. You know, that's a thing.
Yeah.
But he spoke, and what else happened at Sunday service? I mean, it was just wonderful.
The Holy Hawk.
The Holy Hawk. So the Holy Hawk, just to give you it as quick as possible, we'll give you it in a minute.
I think you should maybe not like explain the whole Holy Hawk thing. I think people should come along and see it.
Well, it's more the myth, it's more the myth and the legend
and the lore
of the Holy Hawk. So the Holy Hawk came to visit, and we were very, very grateful for their presence. It was if you go back and watch on our Instagram and on our TikTok and Facebook and things, there's a bit of a segment in the reel that we shared about the Holy Hawk and their magic. It's a magical experience.
Yeah. So there's lore now?
Yeah.
I mean, it's just like layers and layers and layers and layers of lore.
I believe that it's a cult.
I mean, we are getting there.
What is it they say? The only difference between a cult and religion is time and the amount of real estate that it owns.
Yes. But yeah, it was wonderful. If you're interested in coming to Sunday service and you're interested in kind of getting all the best bits of church, but without sort of pesky organised religion and all the hate that comes with that.
Loads of community and tea.
It was so wonderful. Come and join us. Have lovely buns and coffee afterwards. Connect with people, and we'll be back.
Friends.
When's the next one? The next one's the
9th of June.
The 9th of June.
And it's donation-based tickets.
Yes.
So it's essentially a free event, but if you've got the readies and you want to throw us a $5 or a $10, then there's an Eventbrite link that you can put on there.
Well, it's sort of the modern version of a collection plate. We did look. You can now buy collection plates.
With a card machine in it.
With a card machine.
But they're quite expensive, so we'll have to see
£90.
Oh, they're more than that for that one.
Oh,
the basic entry level one was £90, but the collection plate one's like $200.
Oh, well, then we don't have that.
Yeah. But what we might just do is like fashion our own one or something like that.
Yeah. Just like one of those card readers, but just like make a wee wicker basket around it.
Yeah, yes. Basically, we'll just have somebody in the corner controlling it from a phone saying how much you want to put on it.
Yeah, but no, actually quite loud over the crowd. Yeah. Did you say, was it a tenner, Mary?
Yeah.
Or was it, it was a pound.
It's another pound.
God,
they're not, 20. Oh,
they're not going to be paying their electric bill in
Somebody's
here.
doing well for themselves.
Yeah.
But at pound will cover the fucking 4 cups of coffee and the packet of buns you had today. Or...
Only one bun for you.
People, we got some buns and Bailey's Dear coffee, so we're all
Orla
biz.
Gravy brought us a gorgeous cake.
So sweet, like a really fancy cake, like a really good one.
Yeah.
But thank you to everyone that came and supported us, because it's quite difficult. It's quite a jump to jump into like a new thing. It's also strange for us to promote a thing that just doesn't exist yet, especially like a new idea. So thank you to everyone that came. Thank you for everyone that filled all the seats. We're really grateful for that. Thank you to Gemma again, because she was wonderful. She's going to be back for round 2. We hope to keep Gemma for a while, actually, because she's really a star.
Yeah.
And thank you to Mickey for speaking. You also spoke as well, and you did a lovely poem about gratitude.
Yes.
Who else got up? Was that us? I think that was sort of.
I think that was us. It was a fairly simple and straightforward structure.
As always, thank you to the Show Some Love crew and our volunteers and staff here, who were amazing. People like Emma Dawson, who was out on sound just working away, and to everyone who helped to share it if they couldn't come. We'll hopefully see you the next time. It is, what did you say it was again, the 9th?
The 9th of
The
June.
9th of next month.
And we're making it a wee bit later this time as well. Last time we started it at 10:30, but we're going to do 11:30 this time because we should have known better. But some of our friends slept in because they'd been out on the Saturday night.
Gays.
So,
sure, as you say, they were just on bloody ketamine. You know, they probably still were. Yeah. Well, like, thank you so much for listening. Seán started a new thing today where
it's just really helpful.
He sits behind the camera and just holds up a picture.
It says, fuck up, hurry up.
It's an unsolicited dick pic, actually, and I don't appreciate it.
But it has the time stamped on it.
It's not, really I know that's not your dick. I know it's not your dick. But no, so Seán's given us the time. He's given us the red light.
Keeping us on track.
Yes, so we don't just keep on sort of nattering away. But we will see you next week. Thank you so much for listening. As ever, please share this, please like it, please ring the bell, and let everyone know that we are fucking wonderful because we're really, really trying our best.
Just love.
Just love.